What happens when the man you love discovers a secret you never meant to share, your past with over 50 other lovers? Suddenly, his warmth turns cold, his touch fades, and the cuddles stop. Is it judgment, fear, or something deeper tearing you apart? Can love survive when trust is shattered and distance grows between two hearts that once beat as one? Stay with me as I reveal the raw emotions, the silent battles, and a shocking truth that could either break us or bring us closer than ever before. You won't want to miss what happens next. He never expected to find out the truth about my past, and when he did, everything between us shifted. What started as a warm, loving relationship suddenly grew cold, distant, like a door that quietly slammed shut without warning. At first, I thought maybe he was just going through something stressful, but soon it became clear, he had changed because of what I told him. When he learned I'd slept with more than 50 men before him, the way he looked at me wasn't the same anymore. The cuddles stopped, the late-night talks faded, and the warmth in his eyes disappeared. It's hard to explain how it feels when someone you care about suddenly pulls away. You want to ask questions, you want to understand, but the silence just grows heavier. I kept wondering if it was the number, or the fact that I shared that part of my life at all, that made him shut down. Was it judgment? Fear? Something deeper I couldn't see? I never imagined my past could have this much power to change someone's feelings toward me. In the beginning, he was the one person I thought would accept me completely, flaws, past, and all. We laughed together, shared dreams, and I believed we were building something real. But now, every time I reach out for a simple hug or try to close the distance between us, I'm met with cold shoulders and empty space. It's like there's an invisible wall that wasn't there before, and no matter how hard I try, I can't break through. What does it mean when love turns into distance? When the person who once held you close won't even hold your hand? I'm caught in this confusing place, stuck between wanting to fight for what we had and wondering if some truths are just too much to handle. The hardest part is not knowing if he's hiding his feelings or if he's already given up. This story isn't just about numbers or mistakes. It's about trust, vulnerability, and how past choices can haunt the present in ways you never expect. And right now, I'm left asking myself, is there a way back to the warmth we lost, or is this the beginning of the end? Stay with me, because the next part will reveal what happens when the distance grows even wider. We met in a way that felt like fate, like two people who were meant to cross paths at just the right time. From the very beginning, he was different. Patient, kind, and easy to talk to. I felt like I could be myself around him, no masks, no hiding. That made it so hard when the truth came out. I never planned to tell him about my past all at once. But when the conversation finally came up, I wanted to be honest. I thought honesty was the foundation of something real, something lasting. I never expected it would cause this kind of distance between us. Before he found out, everything was simple. We had our routines, late-night talks, lazy weekends, shared meals, and quiet moments that felt like home. But then one evening, when I tried to share more about who I was and where I came from, the look on his face changed. It wasn't anger or disappointment exactly. It was something colder, like he was trying to process a new version of me he hadn't known before. Since then, he's been distant in ways that hurt more than any argument. He won't hold my hand when we walk, and doesn't lean in when we sit close. Even when I reach for him, there's this hesitation, a barrier I can't get past. It's as if he's trying to protect himself from something, or maybe protect me from himself. I keep replaying every conversation, wondering if I said too much or not enough. I don't know if he's struggling with trust or if this is something deeper, something about how he sees me now that I shared my history. It's hard not to feel rejected, but I also understand that this isn't easy for him. This story isn't just about the past, it's about how we deal with what's real between us now. And that's a question I'm still trying to answer. What makes this even harder is how much I want to understand him. I keep asking myself, why does my past make him pull away now? Was it the number, or something about what it means to him? I know relationships are complicated, and everyone has their own insecurities and fears. Maybe he's afraid he can't measure up, or that I'm somehow different from the person he thought I was. It's like there's this invisible line I crossed, and now we're stuck on opposite sides of it. At the same time, I wonder if I'm being too hard on him, or even myself. Should my past really define how he treats me today? Is it fair that a history I've already lived through becomes a barrier between us? I want to believe that love is bigger than all that, but right now, the coldness feels so real that it's hard to hold on to hope. There's also the part of me that worries this distance will never go away. When someone stops cuddling, stops sharing little moments that used to mean everything, it's more than just physical. It's emotional. It's a kind of silence that grows louder with every day that passes. I've tried bringing it up, gently asking what's wrong, but he just shuts down or changes the subject. It feels like walking on thin ice, not knowing when it will crack. Meanwhile, friends have started noticing. Some have warned me that maybe I'm holding on to something that isn't there anymore. Others have said maybe he's just scared of getting too close. But no matter the advice, the confusion stays. How do you fix something when you don't even know what's really broken? The more I think about it, the more I realize this isn't just about numbers or the past, it's about trust, acceptance, and whether we can be truly honest with each other without losing what we have. And that question still hangs in the air, unanswered. Days turned into weeks, and the distance between us only seemed to grow. Every attempt I made to bridge the gap was met with silence or cold indifference. I found myself waiting for small signs, a glance, a smile, even a touch, anything that could tell me he still cared. But those moments became rare, like flickers of a light fading in the dark. I started to feel invisible, like I was there but not really seen. The man I thought I knew was slipping away, and with him went the warmth we once shared. One night, after another quiet dinner where words barely passed between us, I reached out again, desperate for something real. I asked if we could talk, really talk, about what was happening between us. For the first time in days, he looked me in the eyes, but there was a hardness there I hadn't seen before. He didn't yell or accuse, but his words cut deeper than I expected. He told me he felt like he didn't know me anymore, like the person I'd been before was a stranger he wasn't sure he wanted to be with. That moment felt like everything hung in the balance. I wanted to scream that I was still the same person, that the past didn't change who I am now. But the words stuck in my throat, because part of me understood where he was coming from. Trust, once broken or shaken, is hard to rebuild, especially when it's wrapped up in emotions neither of us fully knows how to handle. We stood there, caught between what was and what could be, both scared to take the next step. The silence stretched, heavy and unbearable. I realized this was the turning point. Would he choose to fight for us, or would the cold distance become permanent? And more than anything, I wondered what I was willing to do to save something that already felt so fragile. Just when I thought things couldn't get more complicated, something unexpected happened that threw everything into chaos. A few days after that tense conversation, I stumbled upon a message on his phone, something he hadn't meant for me to see. It wasn't a text from another person, but it was enough to shake me. The words hinted at doubts and fears I hadn't even imagined, and suddenly the distance between us wasn't just about my past anymore. There were things he was wrestling with inside, things he hadn't shared with me. That message made me realize this wasn't just about the number of people I'd been with or the mistakes I'd made. There was a deeper fear in him, a vulnerability masked by the coldness he'd been showing. I wondered if he was scared of losing me, scared of being hurt himself. Or maybe he was questioning whether our relationship could survive all the secrets and truths we both carried. The more I thought about it, the more I felt caught in a storm I didn't know how to navigate. I tried to bring it up, but every time I asked, he shut down, slipping further away instead of opening up. The tension between us grew, thick and suffocating. Friends started to notice the change, offering advice or simply watching silently, unsure what to say. I felt alone in the middle of it all, torn between wanting to fight for what we had and wondering if some things couldn't be fixed no matter how much you try. The weight of the unknown hung over us, and every small moment between us was charged with unsaid words and unanswered questions. I was left wondering how much more distance we could take before it became permanent. The truth I shared had cracked open something deeper, and now I didn't know if we could ever put the pieces back together. The night I finally confronted him was the night everything came to a head. I couldn't take the silence or the cold distance any longer. I needed to know if there was still a chance for us or if this was the end. We sat across from each other, the weight of weeks pressing down on both of us. I took a deep breath and asked him to be honest, to tell me what he was really feeling, what was behind the walls he'd built around himself. At first, he hesitated. But then the floodgates opened. He admitted that when he learned about my past, the fact that I'd been with so many men before, it wasn't just about jealousy or insecurity. It made him question everything he believed about love, trust, and what it meant to be with someone. He feared he wasn't enough, that my history would always overshadow what we had. But more than that, he revealed he was dealing with his own fears of being vulnerable, of opening up fully, and of losing control in a relationship. His coldness, the distance, wasn't rejection. It was his way of protecting himself from getting hurt. Hearing this, I realized our conflict wasn't just about my past, it was about how both of us struggled to be truly open and honest. The pain, the silence, it was a reflection of our own fears clashing. We talked for hours that night, breaking down walls and sharing things we'd kept hidden. The cuddles, the warmth, they slowly started to come back, not because the past disappeared, but because we chose to face it together. Just when I thought we were finally turning a corner, he looked at me with a serious expression and said, "There's something else I need to tell you." My heart skipped. What more could there be? The suspense hung thick in the air as I braced myself for the next truth, a secret that might change everything again. His next words caught me completely off guard. He told me that before we met, he had a complicated past of his own, one filled with mistakes, regrets, and people he'd hurt without meaning to. He'd kept it hidden because he was scared it would change how I saw him, just like I'd feared he'd see me differently. Hearing that made something shift between us. We weren't just two people with separate histories. We were two imperfect humans trying to find a way to heal together. That night, we made a silent promise to be more honest, to face our fears together instead of letting them tear us apart. It wasn't a magical fix, and I knew there would still be hard days ahead. But the distance that had grown between us began to shrink, replaced by a cautious but real closeness. The cuddles came back slowly, tentative at first, then more natural, like the warmth we lost was just waiting for the right moment to return. Looking back, I realize now that the number of people I'd been with wasn't the real issue. The real struggle was about trust, vulnerability, and how we each carried our pasts into the present. Love isn't about a perfect history, it's about accepting each other's flaws and deciding to move forward together, even when it's hard. Our story isn't perfect, and maybe it never will be. But what matters is that we chose to keep trying, to face the uncomfortable truths instead of hiding from them. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that openness and patience can heal wounds that once seemed too deep to fix. And sometimes, the hardest battles bring the strongest love. Thank you for listening to this story. If you've ever faced distance or doubt in a relationship, know that you're not alone. And sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is simply keep trying.